Joining us from Boston is Yaneer Bar-Yam. He's president of the New England Complex Systems Institute. That's a think tank that focuses on analytics. He's a physicist who's researching pandemic data for more than 15 years. Yaneer, thanks so much for joining us. You've talked before about the differences between successful countries and their responses and the responses of unsuccessful countries. Given where we are now and what we're seeing with Omicron, does that observation still hold, or has it sort of all been muddied now?
No, it's very transparent, right? The countries that act early, act strong. It's like a fire, right? You don't wait until it's burning half the house before you put it out. And this is unfortunately what many countries are doing. It's like, wait, let's see what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be okay. And of course, it's not okay. And so the slow reaction is devastating. And on the other hand, countries that are doing well, as long as we focus on Europe and the US, what we're really doing is comparing bad and worse. But if we look at other parts of the world right now, we see that in addition to China, which has very few cases, of course, there's also Japan, Indonesia, Philippines, and India that have very few cases, comparatively speaking. They've been taking much stronger action. And what they're doing is they're using a vaccine plus strategy, where vaccination is important, of course, but also making sure that people diligently wear masks. There's social distancing, there's ventilation, focusing on the stopping transmission as a systematic approach to preventing cases, then enables you to control this pandemic. And what we see is in these countries, they're down at close to 1 case per million in many places, and that's close to elimination. So there's a choice about getting to elimination, which unfortunately not enough countries are making. But if we could do that, then we would also demonstrate to the world that this is really happening, and well over 50% of the world's population could be at elimination with a little bit more push on the part of these countries to get there.
Yeah, this is elimination that you advocate for through a strategy called COVID-0. What does the data show that's different about this pandemic compared to previous ones? I was listening to the countries that you mentioned, and of course they had more recent experience with SARS. These are countries where people quickly adapted to wearing masks. It wasn't a cultural shock for them.
Right. And I think the main thing is just taking it seriously. I mean, people somehow have this view that it shouldn't bother us, right? We are somehow okay even if the disease is present. And part of the challenge is the historical experience. The Western world had eliminated a number of very severe diseases. And as a result of that elimination, people accepted that diseases were the ones that you had were the ones that were inevitable, that you couldn't stop. And of course, that's also not true. We've seen from this pandemic the side effects on flu causing dramatic reduction in flu cases shows that we could choose to eliminate flu. Also, we've apparently as far as we know, eradicated one of the strains of flu, and the choice is the one that we have. And so the real question is not can we do it, but will we decide collectively to respond strongly enough? And what we see is that the alternative that people talk about as living with the virus, which people claim is important for economic activity, doesn't serve that purpose, because there are these waves that are not generated by the natural just dynamics of the disease, but the fact that people are not taking the precautions. And because they don't take the precautions, the cases go up. Once they get severe, there really isn't the choice to lock down, as is happening now in European countries, in Netherlands in particular right now. But the need to take precautions is happening everywhere. That has tremendous economic impact and has had a tremendous economic impacts. And the economic analyses show that the countries that have achieved elimination or even close to elimination are doing much better economically. So this whole concept that by accepting the presence of the diseases and ignoring it at some level, we're going to be able to live more normal lives just doesn't work. And what we should realize is that living with the virus is a very, very high cost. And that by taking action, investing in very strong suppression and elimination, then we can actually return to a much more normal existence, which manifestly is better. The experience shows it, and the fact that we had this strategy of vaccine only and ignore it has really failed to take the course that people claim.